New comic book day reviews are back. Well, sort of. I started picking up new comics again with the Energon universe, with Transformers, with Duke, with Cobra Commander. Didn't do reviews on them, but when the Ultimate Universe kicked off with Marvel, with Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman, started picking that up as well and doing these single issue reviews. Last week, I reviewed all three Ghost Machine launch day titles. What was it? Rook Exodus, Red Coat, and the new volume of Geiger. This week, I read a little bit more, so I figured I would just combine them all into one video, and maybe I'll slowly start creeping back into picking up more and more titles. So if you can, leave a like on the video, be subscribed to the channel if you want to see more of these types of reviews, and let's jump into the first one. Let's start with Transformers issue number 7. So I highly recommend reading Transformers 1 through 6. Hopefully they make some sort of trade paperback out of that, because that's really the first arc. So Daniel Warren Johnson, he is the writer, and he drew those first 6 issues. He's still on the book as the writer, but now they have a new artist, George Corona, here with Mike Spicer as well, who's one of the best colorists out there. This is the start of a brand new arc. George Corona's artwork is very similar to Daniel Warren Johnson, so it's not jarring going from one style to the other. I actually really like George, his artwork. It's very sketchy, kind of like Daniel Warren Johnson's, and just like issue 1, people get killed. It's big, it's explosive, there's a lot of action, it's in-your-face Transformers. It looks like Gen 1, but it's so much more mature than the cartoons ever were, even though that first movie was pretty mature. So the big takeaway from this issue is the usurping of Starscream. He is the leader of the Decepticons, and he's being challenged by Soundwave for his failure to defeat the Autobots, to get bested by humans, to not put the Decepticons in a place where they want to be and where they should be. So that interaction was amazing, and it's interesting to see where this is going to go with Transformers, because we see what happens with Starscream, but we know that's really Optimus's motivation. They want to take down Starscream for the death of one of the humans and for some of the Autobots. So gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. I like where they picked up with the Combiners with Devastator, and that was from issue 6, which had a crazy cover, by the way. So that's Transformers 7. Highly recommend, again, picking up a trade if they put one out, or hunting down those first 6 issues. They have like second and third printings of those, so you don't have to go crazy buying an expensive copy. That's Image Skybound. Next from Image, they have the new Spawn universe, and they have a new issue, Rat City, issue number 1. I wouldn't have known what Rat City was if there wasn't like Spawn 2099 on the cover. So it's not 2099, it's like Spawn 2111. This is by Schultz, Carlos, Ramos, Plasencia, and Ilzoli. So this is a oversized issue. It looks like it's 32 pages long. You have this new Spawn. Honestly, it kind of feels a little drawn out to me. They give you this new character, so they give you his background. He's part of this like military hit squad, kind of similar to Al Simmons, but like I said, it's in the future. And they show what happens to that squad and how he ends up with the Spawn powers. Now, it's different than Al Simmons. He didn't die, and it's not that the Spawn powers are infused in his entire body. The events from one of his last missions left him without his legs. So he had these new nanites and these robotic legs placed on him. He was part of this program where they were experimenting on soldiers. And for one reason or the other, it's not really clear yet, a Hell Spawn was trapped inside of those nanites, and we have this futuristic version of Spawn. So it's a very long issue. The art style is good though, man. This page with this very long panel and the guy screaming, it looks good. It reminds me really of a 90s Image book in every sense of the word. The art is great. The story is a little boring and drags a little bit, gotta be honest. But I'm interested in a new Spawn of the future. We only see him suit up in the last panel, so we don't really know what to expect. But I'm going to give it a try when issue 2 comes out for sure. All right, guys, so I mentioned the Marvel Ultimate Universe. Issue 2 of Ultimate X-Men is here. This is by Peach Momoko, and it's kind of a bait and twist on the title. This is not an X-Men comic book. It is 100% a manga-inspired comic book about the mutant armor. That being said, I like manga, and I like this book. The art style is kind of like a little childish. It's a little YA, but it has these dark themes. And it almost reminds me of like Berserk or something like that, where you have like this eye that appears watching over the main character. It's in the sky. It blacks out the sky. Somebody is contacting Armor from beyond the grave, and there's these murders that are going on. She runs into a new mutant here, no pun intended. I thought this character was going to be Storm. It looks like a Storm-esque type of character, but it's somebody else. Little horror elements sprinkled throughout this issue. We see that shadowy figure from the first one, and I love this scene with the security guard kind of showing them through this, what is this, a abandoned school that they're not supposed to be into, and then it flashes to the security guard who's not really human, made up of bugs and things of that sort. So that was awesome. It ends kind of on a cliffhanger, whereas Rat City was a little bit too much. Ultimate X-Men issue 2 kind of left me wanting more. It didn't really end as an issue. It almost feels like it'll read better once it's a completed arc. But I am into this issue. It's not an X-Men book. If you're into like 90s X-Men, I wouldn't expect you to like this. But if you dip and dab into manga, I think that you'd be interested. This video is brought to you by Ninja Funk Bad Music #1. Following the battle at Ninja Funk Dojo and the capture of BB, Bad Music retreats to their headquarters at the Nexus. With the love of Laser Wolf's life as irresistible bait, there's no doubt in Queen Bad's mind that her nemesis will come knocking and she's ready for him. Will Laser Wolf, JPG McFly, and Wolfgang see the trap for what it is or run headlong into disaster? Find out in Ninja Funk Bad Music #1 in stores April 17th. All right, speaking of X-Men, X-Men 97 issue 2 is here. We did a solo review on issue 1, and I gave my thoughts on the animated series, which I continue to enjoy. Issue 2 has Wolverine and Sabretooth on the cover. It is showing us the result from the events of the Charles Xavier Memorial Concert where Dazzler was set to perform, but the Nasty Boys crashed the place. Love the little cameos here, a little cameo of Psylocke just being shown on the TV screen by the news reporter. Of course, we have Mr. Sinister. Now, what's weird about the comic, it's kind of like a prequel to the show, but things are a little bit different. Like, Storm has her mohawk in the comic, but she hasn't had her powers taken away yet. So it almost feels like they wrote the comic at the same time the show was in development, and they kind of had an idea of what each other was doing, but they didn't really know, I guess, when and where. So Storm still has her powers. We still have Jean Grey. She has recently just told Scott that she's pregnant. We haven't had the Madeline Pryor twist happen here. And then what we have is Mr. Sinister sends Sabretooth and his Sinister Seven, basically Sabretooth and a bunch of no-name mutants that are no big deal, to terrorize the X-Men and kind of give mutants a bad name in the public eye once again, because the X-Men have been gaining favor with humanity, and Sinister doesn't like that. It makes it harder for him to do his experiments and to do what he wants to do when mutants are getting sympathy from humans. So that's kind of the gist of this. The cover is a kind of a bait and switch too, because the Wolverine Sabretooth is like literally 2 pages. And then this also kind of ends on not a cliffhanger, but it's like, that's the last page? Morph knocking some mutant out, and that's it. So that's X-Men 97. I think it's fun to read that in correlation with the show. It reminds me of X-Men Adventures, how you had the comics that were not recreations of the episodes of the original animated series, but telling their own story. It's the same thing that's happening now. All right, guys, this is the last issue. I only read 5 issues this week, but it's my pick of the week. And speaking of Spawn 2099, we've got Symbiote Spider-Man 2099 by Peter David, Antonio, and Chang. Look at this beautiful cover, man. So if you liked Peter David's 90s run on Spider-Man 2099, this is a direct continuation. Like, what did that end on? Issue 46 or something? This is essentially issue 47 and 48. Like, literally, Kron Stone was beaten to a pulp at the end of that last run, and he still has the wounds in this issue. He is the current Venom 2099. We do see Symbiote Spider-Man 2099 in full symbiote garb. I love it. It's very similar to Venom, like the emblem on his chest and on his face is coming off of his suit, giving the symbiote tendrils. And you have a symbiote clash between Venom 2099 and Spider-Man 2099. I dig it. I mean, symbiotes, futuristic characters, Spider-Man, it's giving me everything that I want. And what's interesting here is that it was revealed in Peter David's original arc that Miguel O'Hara is Tyler Stone's son. His mother, Conchata, had a son with Tyler Stone. So Kron in this issue finds out that he's actually half-brothers with Miguel and asks him to join him. And I don't really want to spoil it, but, you know, the symbiote considers the the premise of a team up, and that's where this issue ends. I loved it, man. I dig the art style. I love that it's continuing Peter David's original run, and it's got everything that I like in comics. So that's going to get my pick of the week. I do get PDFs for like Marvel, Image, Boom, IDW, Dynamite. The only ones I don't get are DC, man. So let me know in the comments below. What is a must-read from DC Comics right now? Preferably new series I can jump on. I don't want to have to read every single title. I really just want to read titles that interest me. I'm going to drop stuff super quick because I don't want to get back to reading 30 comics a week, and I only really liked 7 of them. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite book was this week, and thanks for watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.